Baltimore fans finding some enjoyment yesterday. Mandatory minicamp for the Ravens. A lot of mystery originating from franchise quarterback and 2019 MVP Lamar Jackson. Here's Marlon Humphrey making the big reveal that Lamar Jackson did indeed show up. Dun, dun, dun.
Y'all won't believe who I'm with.
Yeah. What's going on, guys? We back at the King's Castle. I hope you're ready for the season, because I'm sure he is. Let's do it. Flock Nation, baby.
That's great. That's fine. It's mandatory. He was expected to be there. It didn't provide any insight, explanation, guidance, or understanding as to why he hasn't been there before. I know he's working out with his own quarterback mechanics guru. Plenty of time to do that in the offseason. Plenty of time to do both.
Yeah.
Plenty of time to take care of your team-related practices, getting to know your new-look receiving core with Hollywood Brown traded. Plenty of time to work on your mechanics. Plenty of time to do everything in the offseason. If you truly are fully and completely motivated, dedicated, determined to have your best season ever, win a Super Bowl, and then have a gigantic pile of money just drop out of the sky. You know, we tried last week to ascertain what he really wants. I really do think he wants that no negotiation offer. The Ravens show up and say, here it is, all you got to do is sign, and it's so obviously the best contract ever given to any NFL player, he'd be stupid to not sign it. I really do think that's what he wants.
Right. Maybe you're right.
And since they haven't given it to him yet, his only alternative is to go out and have a great season and hope they give it to him after the season ends.
Yeah, right. And what we were talking about was, we want you to go to OTAs, Lamar Jackson, so you can have that best season we're talking about. And, you know, they can roll up the Brinks truck and just drop the cash everywhere. You know, to me, to your point, you know, you can do both. You know, the NFL offseason schedule for players is not that grueling. The hours aren't crazy there. So it's good to see him there for sure. I mean, that's something. I was wondering whether he was going to show up for mandatory minicamp. I expected him to. But, I mean, again, with Lamar, you don't know. And because he doesn't talk to anybody and there's no agent and it just seems to be hard to get in contact with him in general from anybody you talk to, you never have an inkling of what's really going on or hearing a rumor. So, yeah, I don't know where his mind's at. Either way, he was there in the uniform, I'm sure taking team pictures and doing all those necessary things before minicamp that teams do. But good to see him there regardless. It's risky. Of course, it's very, very risky, and I don't understand the approach of not putting yourself in the best position to play your best football in a risky year like we're talking about.
Well, and to back it up a step, we want him to be there if his goal is to have the best season ever that he's had and go get the huge contract, but he should already have the huge contract. That's where this thing got off the rails. They're ready to pay. The vault is open. It's been open. He shouldn't be practicing without the protection of the long-term contract, but he doesn't have the long-term contract not because the team is slow playing it like the Cardinals are with Kyler Murray. He's slow playing it. It still makes no sense whatsoever. I wonder if they're going to make him available to the media. I don't think it's mandatory that he's available at the mandatory minicamp.
What are you going to ask him? What's the first thing you're asking him if you're there, you know, on press row there with Lamar Jackson? What do you want to know?
The team seems to be mystified by your failure to engage the organization in contract negotiations. Why have you not?
Right.
Why have you not talked to the Ravens about a new contract when they seem to be ready to give you one?
Yeah. That should give you just.
What do you think he'll say?
Yeah.
What do you think he'll say?
I figured he'd throw around something like, I just want to focus on football and do things there and play my best, and that'll take care of itself. I feel like it's something like that, which, again, is going to kind of lead to, I think, where your pasta and meatballs gut is here. You know, and the same, what you're saying a little bit is what Steve Biscotti said. Biscotti, sorry.
Tomato.
I know.
Biscotti,
Damn. I choke when it comes to his name. Like he said, too.
It's a Biscotti. I can do that.
I know.
I can do that because I'm Italian. By the way, based upon some of the TV shows I watch, it still is fair game to make fun of Italians. I don't know why, but it
funny.
still is.
Well, good.
Hey, it's Scusa Biscotti.
I know,
Right,
I know. Well, I guess it is. Well, you guys are good sports, and you don't take it too personal, and you make fun of each other.
No,
so
we just
I think
shoot
that's
you.
what's good. Yeah, exactly right. Get my Tommy gun out. You're right, but I mean, yeah. To what the owner said, though, Mike, and to your point, he kind of said the same thing when he was at the owners' meeting. He got the feeling that this guy just wants to, play so great, win a Super Bowl, so he could just say he deserves it, and then they just give him a contract that there's no discussion with, and he can just sign the dotted line. It's starting to feel that way. It is. So, but yeah, I think he would give a lot of, hyperbole and kind of BS there to a degree in his answer.
I don't know how capable he is of that, and that's a compliment.
That's a good thing, too. You're right. I think you're right. I don't think it would
to be
BS.
genuine
right.
and honest and not do the Tom Brady 90% of the time. I don't say what I really think, so we have to parse through every freaking word that he says to figure out which is in the 90 and which is in the 10.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Tom. But with Lamar, I think he still is, kind of young. And look, I was that way. I was very naive. I used to be extremely gullible because it was too hard to try to figure out when someone's lying to you and when you're not. When you are, as you grow up, drilled to always be truthful and honest and candid with everyone, and then all of a sudden you're introduced to a world of bullshit, it's overwhelming at first. Now I've become very adept at spotting it over the past 35 years, but I can remember being early 20s thinking, I really would like to just be able to take people at face value. It's going to be a lot of work to figure out when people are telling me the truth and when they aren't, but I think Lamar Jackson still kind of views the world that way. So we'll see.
think you're right. You're right.
Are you hesitant to negotiate?
Yeah.
Are you hesitant to negotiate with the team?
Right.
Do you understand the risk you're taking by playing the position the way you play the position and not accepting the money that Steve Biscotti wants to give you? These are all very fair questions. The problem with the press conference, though, is everybody shows up with the one question that they plan to ask to impress their boss and check the box and show that they're actually doing their job, and it's never a meaningful conversation. It's a scattershot approach. He needs to sit down for an interview one-on-one with someone who would have the ability to just drill down. Lamar, how did we get here? How do we get out of here? Do you not want to have to negotiate? Do you think you shouldn't have to? Do you think that you'd maybe like to finish your contract and do a couple of franchise tag years and become a free agent and force the Ravens to sign you that way? And if they don't give you the best offer, you go play for somebody else? Do you want to play in Miami? Is that what this is about? Are you concerned they're going to trade you if you don't engage them, that they're going to become exasperated with the situation and say, we need certainty here? There are a lot of questions that could be asked in that setting, one after another, to get to the bottom of this. And to the extent that he's frustrated about these discussions, he's responsible for them, whether he intended it or not. He's allowed this mystery to just grow and expand and spread. It's like a vine. It's gotten worse, not better. And this whole showing up for mandatory minicamp, like, hey, here I am, I'm ready. Well, where you been? You're here? Good. You have to be here. You're going to get fined $100,000. Not that maybe they'd probably find a way to waive it or excuse it. They don't want to agitate the situation any more than it already is. But where have you been? What have you been doing? That's part of what you would ask in a sit-down as well. Why didn't you go see him instead of Burrow? Go see him next.
Well, I mean, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he declined the offer. Maybe with how he treated me on Twitter a few weeks ago.
True.
Maybe he's like, I don't want to talk to that guy. But hopefully not. Maybe one day I will be able to talk to him. But I think you're kind of, your questions are right. You're kind of on the right track there. And I don't mean, again, Lamar. To me, it's. I know we got a few other crazy stories this offseason, but I can't remember one like this where, again, we're on a franchise superstar quarterback, team willing to pay, reaching out, and we just have kind of no clue where the player is in this situation. It's still very odd to me.
I don't use the term unprecedented lightly. This is
definitely
without precedent. This is, especially in today's NFL, where the idea is get yourself to the point where they are ready to pay you a market value contract and take it as soon as you can because everything is potentially temporary. It's not guaranteed to be temporary, and I know Dak Prescott still got $160 million over 4 years, or $140 million, over 4 years. That would have been a hell of a deal. No, it is 160. My math sucks. 160, 40 times 4 equals 160. He got 160 after breaking his ankle, but look, that's still a serious situation, ask Alex Smith. When you have a compound fracture and the skin is pierced and the bacteria that resides on the surface of your skin has the opportunity to invade your body, the chances of a serious infection are significant. That was the biggest risk that Dak Prescott had. It's a clean break. It heals, but you got to go through this period of time where you may have an infection. And if you do, you got a major problem. Ask Alex Smith. So there's still risk, and it could derail your career. It could cause you to never get that contract that you've already earned. We've always wanted what's best for Lamar Jackson.
Definitely.
And I think at a certain point, I think this may be how the Ravens feel. You're trying to do right by the guy, and he won't engage. And at a certain point, you're going to get pissed off, and you are going to start looking around. And you got to ask yourself, if we get through this season and he still won't engage us, tag, trade. Tag, trade. Miami, wherever, we're moving on to another quarterback. We can't do this anymore.
Well, it's definitely got to be frustrating. It is. But to me, they're too far down, the Lamar Jackson wormhole right now to be able to, abandon ship just immediately. I mean, sure, Tyler Huntley's very good. He can play, certainly. But they've made a team based on Lamar Jackson's talents and playing that style of football, which is different than just about everybody else in the game. So that's where Lamar does have a lot of power here and as far as this situation is concerned, let alone, of course, we know he's a really awesome football player. Now, I know, but it's yes, piss the team off. I mean, again, team can't really figure out the future a little bit. I think that's probably the most frustrating thing for them, just balancing the checkbook, where are they going to go, future contracts, all of that. Guys in the locker room, they got to be like, wait, what the hell? To a degree, as a player, everybody's going to be sitting there going, man, I wish I could, get a contract like the Ravens want to give Lamar Jackson, but he doesn't want it. I mean, it's just so weird. It's such a weird dynamic. It really is. And, I know he's a leader of that football team and they love him, but I just think this is going to hover over them throughout training camp, and it's still going to be talked about, during the season. And, of course, I have a hard time thinking it won't be on his brain to a degree, if we get to the middle part of the year and it's tough football and, he's taking shots and doing that, the Brandon Marshall element that I brought up so many times, to where can you really go pedal to the metal? Down a playoff stretch, AFC North football, when oh man, if I don't get hurt, I got a $250 million payday coming here. Can you play that way? I mean, that to me is what we'll be watching, and it's going to be hovering over that team from the media standpoint and football fans everywhere.
Well, he wasn't able to go pedal to metal down the stretch last year.
I know. That's
the last four games due to a fairly basic ankle injury. Guy dove at him low. He was out of the pocket, so the protection against the hit at or below the knee is off. It was a clean, illegal hit. Gets him low, sprains his ankle, and we don't see him the rest of the year. And then on top of that, he's got that weird thing. And I remember saying this during the season, and I don't say this facetiously. I have Crohn's disease. I'm willing to talk about it. People who may have the symptoms need to get checked, get a colonoscopy. And he kept having these stomach issues. You got to get checked at some point. I remember when Jay Cutler had diabetes, and they never bothered to just give him a blood test and check his sugar levels. It took forever for them to find out. The guy's losing weight. He's weak. He's tired. And don't they have doctors out there? How long does it take to get to the bottom of what's wrong with the guy? I think sometimes that's where the whole organization gets so caught up in the fact that these guys are Superman that they never consider the possibility they may have just some common ailment that the average person gets.
Yeah, well, listen, I think maybe this is part of the discussion. Again, I know that down there that his health and things like that are a part of the conversation, or at least a concern. They love Lamar Jackson. He's a stand-up guy. They know he's a good guy. He's not doing anything wrong, anything like that. But I think there is a worry from what I've been told down there, by people of just maybe him not, taking care of himself quite the way he should. As far as professional quarterbacks are concerned, junky food, staying up late. Yes, he was sick a number of times this year. And I think, again, I'm going from things I've heard down from people in Baltimore that, they feel like his lifestyle a little bit, for lack of a better phrase, a little maybe immature that way. And I don't know. Again, I think we're seeing a little bit of an immature negotiation and approach to this offseason. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just giving my honest take there, Lamar Jackson. Again, want the best for you, do. But I think those are the facts and some of the things that are on the table there. And, yeah, that is something I know that the Ravens are a little concerned with down there.
Lamar, if you will sit with me for an interview, I will bring a gently used, hasn't been in the bathroom copy of the TB12 book. Signed. Now, it's not inscribed to Lamar. It's inscribed to Mike. We can scratch it out and put Lamar in.
Damn, Mike, he signed one to you? Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
What was he thinking?
Signed? Well, that was years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was before I took a turn or he took a turn. But either way, we are farther apart now than we were when he sent me unsolicited, out of the blue, big box. I mean, it's a big, nice book. And the only, you know what? The only time I actually opened it to read it, other than to see the inscription. It's a great book. And look, who knows if he actually signed it. I'm not saying I demand a certificate of authenticity, but the only time I ever looked in it was to use his own words against him when he did a Subway deal last year. That's all I've ever used it for. You're research tool to slam him for taking Subway money.
Asshole,
when that's the last stuff he would ever put in his body, and they did kind of have some self-aware fun with it in the commercials.
Yes, they did.
That's the only time I ever actually looked at the TB12
Yeah, it's an impressive book. Yeah.
I'll bring it, and let me tell you, it's substantial enough that if you don't like one of my questions, you can just whack me with it, and I will leave.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.